Over the last number of weeks, we've had a slowdown in deal flow simply because we have been more picky about the type of deals that we are investing in and also bringing to investors. As a result, a lot of investors have actually coming to us to ask for our help as far as vetting other operators for them to invest in passively. And so I'm going to cover off on 4 to 5 things here to that we look at. But I want to point out that this is all my personal preference. I may not, I'm more of a low-key guy. I'm not posting on social media all the time. Naturally, I kind of gravitate towards operators like myself. So let's start. Okay, number one, I want to invest with somebody that has an unfair advantage and has a secret sauce. Typically, what that means is I'm looking for somebody that focuses on a specific market. I can't tell you how many times that I personally have invested in an area where all the metrics look good, but we didn't have any connections. We builders, we used L builders slightly out of the area. We lose engineers that we used before, but they didn't know the people in the city. It's very important for me to invest in an operator that has some type of home field advantage, whether they live in the market, they're utilizing teams that in their market, or they have somebody in the market that pulls strings from them. That's a huge advantage that I feel people overlook. Things can look good on a desktop, but that does not mean that basically you can replicate what somebody else is doing when they have that home field advantage. Number two, and some of this is going to sound kind of familiar to you. Building construction management. If they're adding on to a facility, are they doing it themselves or are they completely outsourcing it to somebody else? If they're outsourcing it to a third-party company, then now you have to worry about alignment of interest. This company is going to try to make as much profit off this bill as possible, which doesn't align with the operator or the investors necessarily. Number three, operations. Is it in-house or is it being outsourced? Now, I'll say that if I'm investing in Dallas, Texas, one of the more competitive real or self-storage markets in the country, this is not necessarily a benefit to me if somebody is basically managing in-house. Because if they're managing in-house, what that tells me then is, do they have the leverage of SEO and Google marketing in a market that's competitive? Where if I go with a nationally branded company like a Public or Extra Space, I might have a new facility, but I get a leverage a company that has thousands of views, tons of SEO relevancy. And so that's just something I kind of consider. If I'm in a tertiary market, I don't think we need a Public Storage, because in tertiary market, I don't have the competition. So I want to align everything vertically to have those efficiencies of managing everything in-house. And then fourthly, how is the operator sourcing these deals? If they're sourcing them through brokers, that's fine. But what I would caution is brokers often are not sending one deal just to one person. They're sending to multiple deals. Are they sourcing it directly? Now, if they're looking at a Class A facility with somebody that's building a $15, $20 million facility, it's really, really hard to source directly unless you're sourcing through the builder. So those are some things to come on. If I'm looking at a dealer that's like 2 or 3 million, it's much more easy to solicit directly. But I look at that because if you're going through a broker is going to try to get more income, which means they're going to want to go after a higher price. So they're not even aligning with you that way. A few other things I look for too as well is the size of the staff. Does a company have a staff of 15 to 20 people? I talked with somebody recently that is actually in acquisitions for one of the largest self-storage companies in the world. And they simply told me that they were worried. Like, I don't know how we are going to support all these mouths because we don't have enough deals to feed, because we have too many deals that banks are turning down that were great deals that we already had problems lending on 2 months ago. But as a result, right now, we're trying to scramble to find deals simply just to feed all these mouths. Whereas if somebody has 2 or 3 or 5 employees, they're much more nimble. Now, on the flip side of things, while it appears the face of the company, I actually do have a staff of 4 to 5 people. Now, what that means now is that if I were to pass away, yes, I do have a life insurance in case I pass away, but I still have people in place to manage it after me. But at the same time, I don't have 15 to 20 people. So if we don't do a deal for 5 to 6 months, I don't have that external motivation. So these are some of the things to consider when investing in an operator. It's not the all be all of everything, but just some things to consider.